Okay, so now that we have the air box and the air filter off, we can go ahead and start taking the boots off. So first thing you want to do is loosen this screw right there that you see my screwdriver touching, and then you can pull it off. I've already loosened this one, so once you do that, you just wiggle it, it'll pull back, and then it comes straight out like that. Okay, with boot number 1 removed, we will come over here and remove the choke cable. So you'll do that first by removing this screw on the bracket that holds the choke cable back a little bit. So you'll notice when you do that, it'll spring forward on you like that. So you don't have to take it all the way off, just loosen it up there so you can slip it out like that. Don't want to lose my screw. Okay. And then pull that back and out. Like that. Okay. Okay, now on the left side of the bike, you'll come over here and remove the boot from the left side. So very similar to the one we did on the right. We'll put our little screwdriver there. You loosen that clamp, and then just reach in, wiggle it out like that. Pulls it right out. Set that aside. One thing I wanted to point out about the differences between the two boots. So the boot on the left obviously has a little bit of a curve to it, but what's very important is you'll see it has a little number 2 right there. On the other one, the first one that we pulled off, which you can see over there, it says number 1. So number 1 goes on the right side of the bike, and number 2 goes on the left side of the bike. Okay, so still on the left side of the motorcycle, you'll want to remove the throttle cables. So you'll see the 2 throttle cables right here. So remember, this is where boot number 2 was, on the front of the carburetor. And so we have 2 cables here. And so you're just gonna take a 10mm wrench, and you're going to loosen the first cable there. So you can get it out the way. Like that. And then same thing here. To loosen and get that out. See if that's enough to get it out of there. Nope, not quite. You gotta turn that bottom nut just enough to raise the top here. There you go, you can see a little better there. Okay, and then lift it out. There you go. So once you do that, you can see that it goes right here. So you'll just pull that cable forward. Switch hands here. Pull that cable forward until it slips out of that little slot, like that. Now you can take these 2 bolts out right here. This is This is an audio cable that somebody had put on there for these Boss speakers right there, those cheap little Boss speakers. So it's just an aux cable that has been set up there. So now get a Allen wrench and take these bolts out. Again, as I'm finding, whoever messed with this bike previously didn't put all the bolts back. So here again, another bolt is missing, so I'll just have to pull one out, but you will have two. Okay, with this cover removed, I would put my screws back in the spots that I took them out. You can see I've done the same thing with the gas tank bolts and with the seat bolts there. So, so you'll see once you have that off, now you just need to get this hose, this fuel hose disconnected right here. So just grab you some pliers, pull that clamp back. See if we can take it off of there without breaking the rubber. There we go. A bit of gas came out with that, but that's all right. Just clean it up. Okay, so now that I've disconnected the fuel line over here, I need to go ahead and take this other throttle cable out. Okay. And so now, when you look at the top of the carburetor, you'll see some electrical wires that are coming out from the bottom of the carburetor. You can see they're clamped right here, and then they're attached right here, this one and this one. So all you gotta do is just kind of wiggle them out of that little retainer clip, like that, and then disconnect them. That one I can't do with one hand, so I'll put the camera down. Okay, now you can see that I have both the cables disconnected here that are coming, both of the electrical cables that are disconnected. This one, I had to put the camera down in order to get it with one hand, and then this one. So now you'll see that both sides of the carburetor will have these, there. Both carburetors will have these bolts clamping the back of the carburetor. So you will need to pull out a 3mm Allen wrench, the same one that I used to take the cover off that was right here. So just slip it in there and loosen those screws. Okay. And the other one is right here. Okay. Okay, with all the hoses and cables disconnected, the two screws are very loose on the clamps that hold the carburetor to the manifold. So now what you're gonna do is basically you're gonna rotate the carbs like this. This side will go back towards the rear. The left side will go forward towards the front. obviously, right? So it's going to be hard to do on camera holding it, but basically I'm going to grab it like this and then rotate to the right towards the front. So I'm going to have to set the camera down in order to do this. It might take a little bit of trial and error before I actually get it, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, so there you go. So once you have it loose and out of those clamps, you should be able to maneuver and pull or push, whichever direction comes out easier. There we go. In my case, I'm gonna pull. Now there is another hose over here that I didn't take off. So I'll take that off real quick. It's the same as like the other hose that was on the front, on the left. This just is on the rear and the right. So take that clamp, peel it back, and then wiggle and pull the hose off. Mindful of any fuel that might pop out. See? Okay, so then just continue to pull this out of the way. Or push. Whichever direction I need to take it and get it out. There we go. There you go. Carburetors out. The carbs. Okay, so now I'm back on the right side of the motorcycle, and I wanted to point something out. So again, this is how the carburetors sit inside of the Yamaha V Star 1100 Classic 2004. And so once you pull it out, it's important to note something. Again, this manifold, because this is a V, right? This manifold faces that way. The other one faces that way. So when you take the carburetor out and you taking it apart, you'll want to remember or notate somehow which side goes where. So it looks like somebody has already done this, and you can see that they have scratched on the front here that the one on the right side faces forward. Okay, that one right there. And the one on the rear side, I'm sorry, the one on the left side faces the rear. Okay, so again, if you look at that part of the carburetor, that part of the carburetor, out, right? So it sets just like that. Just take note of that. Okay, the last thing I want to show you before you start actually taking apart the carburetors and rebuilding the carbs is the very first thing you do once you get the carburetors off, you set it aside, is you take some clean paper towels, toilet paper, something like that, and you plug the ports that go into the cylinders, okay? This is very important because you don't want any foreign matter, dust, dirt, anything that could fall in there to get in there and ruin the pistons or the valves, okay? So make sure that you plug it up. So there you go, there you have it. That is the teardown of the carburetors for the 2004 Yamaha V Star 1100 Classic. In my next video, I will show you how to take apart the carburetors.